discuss and we're going to show how we did the panel in this room. It's part of the home theater. We haven't figured out yet if it's going to be 8 or 10 part video, but this will be the first part of the whole home theater rental. So we're very excited about this. What also it is, it's yes, it's a long video, and I'm trying not to cut out too much. I don't want somebody to look at it 10 minutes and think we do this. I'm trying to show them real time. It is complex, but it's very easy at the same time. I know that's an oxymoron. It's also great for homeowners. It's very important that you be knowledgeable because when you're going out spending all this money, whether if you're not doing it yourself, if you're hiring people, it's to have a little basic knowledge. A lot of homeowners think like a door is made as one piece of wood and we carve it out on some magic machine. No, it's important that you understand how things go together. So when you're talking to your cabinet maker or people, that you understand the wood that's going into the project. So hang around, watch this video, and the DIYers, we're pushing a little bit. I think uh, not to cut up anybody else, but this is a very satisfying project, I think, and it's not too hard just having your basic tools. With that said, I'm doing a shaker style. So one thing I gotta watch out with this shaker or anything else is you gotta make sure that your edges are perfect. Like I put one edge through the joiner and then I ran the other edge through the saw, and I'm sure if I finish these, you're gonna see all kinds of marks. So I want to get rid of it, but I don't want to start sanding this. This will be a friggin' nightmare. So the easiest way is to take it and put it through the planer. I've been doing this a long time, for many years. This really saves a lot of time. And a lot of times when you put it through table saw, it's a little bit of error. Like you never really get it perfectly straight. It could be a little off. You push through. This will take care of any minor, little valleys or something you slipped on a table saw, and it'll keep the wood pretty decent as long as the bottom is 90. If the bottom's not 90, if it's on a curve, your top's going to be on a curve. So watch it. Make sure those knives are razor sharp. If you do this dull, you could have tearing and gouging. And you can see it really makes short work of those edges. That's a lot of feet there. So that's why I love doing this. So we have the wood all metal. These are our top and bottom. What I'm doing now is matching where I think the grain or the matching looks the best. This looks pretty decent. I have to make two long pieces. One's a little plain here. We're back live from beautiful downtown Harbor Grace. Grace. All right, here goes nothing. And I'm just gonna go like this. I'm gonna like keep it simple. Stupid is a really easy phrase to remember. I'm not gonna do mortise and tenon or anything else like that. I'm gonna just do biscuits. It's gonna be a shaker. I can put moldings in these, but in this case, no. So I'm just going here, so when I come and line up, and I got my spacer here. Now I know my first line, right? I made the spacer 1/16 of an inch bigger. Let's see if I screwed up. I didn't double check, eh? Why double check when you can do it wrong once and twice or 3 times? Now I'm going here. What I'm going to do is I'm getting goofed up here, but I don't need to do both. So I'm going to come here. Oops. And I'm going to go. And this will give me the markings for the biscuit. All right. And also too, I know that I have this pretty much exact spacing. I checked there. I got a plug that's going 7 inches roughly center there, so that plug worked out really nice. We kind of decided to do the paneling at the last minute, so like kind of like an add-on. We weren't really going to do it, but I think I think the room worked. I'm ready. I'm ready to start my biscuits, and I have it set. Double check. Make sure you're locked. You're tight. Sometimes these things start vibrating and they come loose, and it'd be a disaster to put this many in, and your adjustment come out. I don't need to put it in the middle. I can look here and see the middle of my plate where my wood is, and I'm good to go. I got it set at M, which is max, a touch more than 20. It's important to make sure you're holding the joiner with two hands and you're pushing in. Sometimes you can watch me there. I'm going like twice, 1, 2, and then just make sure it's cleared out. I don't have a proper vacuum hooked up to this in my shop. That's what I'm working on. I've gone through so many vacuums. Sometimes you get a little discouraged. I've burned them up. So this was summertime. I have the doors wide open. It's not so bad. But if you're in a small confined space, the dust is gonna be bad. Now I'm dry fitting, and I'm making sure that everything kind of lines up and pushing through, and I'm in the middle, and like this is a big panel right here, so I don't want to struggle or something's a mistake while I have the glue. And now I'm looking there and I'm thinking, okay, well, this is it. Now the glue. This is where it's going to be two schools of thought. I heard one other time, and I want to dispute it with schools. They're saying leave the glue excess out and scrape it off after. I don't. But anyways, just more on that later. Now you can see here I'm putting a lot of glue. I'm not shy with this because when you have the end grain there, it's going to drink a lot of that glue, especially on the end. It's going to suck all that water out of that glue. And if you ever heard the expression like glue starved joint, meaning doesn't mean necessarily it's not enough glue. What happens is the wood just sucks out the moisture out of the glue. So I'm putting a lot on the end. I put a lot on the biscuit. I'm a little messy. I won't say I'm the cleanest here. And, you can see I really am working pretty fast. I'm earning my money today. And we're hitting the ends there. Lots of glue. Now I got it lined up. Now remember before I had my ticks. And this is where it's important. The middle pieces have to be exact. If they're not exact, you're going to have a lot of trouble. Like even if you're an eighth of an inch off and you try to bring that in a bowl, you won't bring it together. Not with the other two on the other side. They'll stop you. So it's number one rule really in cabinet making or anything like this is have your stop set up on your saw. It doesn't matter if you take a 2x4, clamp it at the end and have a stop. The important thing is, like I said, an eighth or a quarter inch won't make a difference to this. So, don't get hung up on that. Sometimes people get hung up that woodworking has to be so perfect. So right now I have the clamps. Now it's important to have a clamp for each one. So we have to take our time. I'm starting at the end there. Is there a better way? Well, I'd rather bring in the sandwich with the ends than start working my way into the middle. It'd be hard to go the middle out, in my opinion. There really is no way. You're in a bit of a panic mode because, you think it's going to dry up. We're back. I have walnut veneer that's going to go in the panel over here that we made yesterday. And I have two of these. I tried to get the best yield, but also two to make the panel look the best, if I could use that word, or in my opinion, the best anyways. When I try to strive for a lot of my panel work or certain other things, make a room look longer than it really is. And if you go thinner, you can make a room look taller. But in this case, I want best of both worlds. I want nice proportion and everything else. So And we discussed yesterday, we did it about 12 inches. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 panels in there that's going to go in behind. I'm just doing shaker, and I have walnut here. And then the only thing with walnut, I guess it's, I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert on walnut. I've never really been too impressed with a lot of the grades of the walnut we get, especially in Canada. I think by the time, the good stuff is taken over by the Americans. And you can see my match here. So I would love to have that book match right across, but that's not going to happen with this. It seems like I have 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece, 5 piece, 6 piece. So it's pretty random. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then on the next one, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I should have a nice flow. I think I'm going to be okay. So, as I said, I learned a long time ago, keep it simple, stupid. And I'm just going to go hair trace. I got my knife. I'm going to make sure it's locked in. I don't want the blade too far. And I'm just going to go gentle first. And I didn't do, yes, you could have glued the whole sheet, but you see there's little ripples here. I don't think, even with the best of my glue, I don't know, I'm not too comfortable. But I know one thing for certain, and we'll make a mistake this one. With the spray booth, and we're going to use a contact cement. I got this, it's pretty standard now. I'm not sure exactly how it works, how they got the contact cement in here to not seize up or dry, but it doesn't dry. I've had this one for about a year. The gun is about $100. Those tanks are about $300. I think they pay for themselves. Even if you do a couple of veneer jobs, they really do. They save a lot of time. What I want to show is that this veneer, the sheet was it's an okay grade. It's not rotary cut, or it's not really book matched or anything else like that. But the sheet only cost about $100. The MDF one sheet was $200. So the panel job itself was about $300, which is a fraction if I had used solid wood. But some people go, oh, veneer's cheap or whatever. No, it's not. Some of the finest furniture in the world in the 1800s, French provincials, all veneer. It couldn't be further from the truth. It's hard to do this much wood, especially with walnut, when you get little strips like this. Some of it will be white, some of it will be dark, and it can look horrible on the first piece. I saw one doors done, and they used baby walnut, which means wasn't very old walnut, and the strips are like this, and then as soon as it darkened and light dark, it looked cheap. So, get that out of some people's head. Veneer is cheap. So I'm going to take this, and we're going to go. I'm going to turn on and make a little noise right now. I'm going to turn my spray booth. I don't have my mask on. As I spray, I'm just going twice. I'm just going crisscross, 1, 2. Like I said, the canister I've had for a while, it just keeps on giving. Eventually I'm going to run out. It's hard to tell how much is left in that canister. So just kind of keep organized and put them on my rack. Want to try to do a pair at a time and not get mixed up. You can see the tape on there. I haven't mixed them up yet. So 1, 2. 1, 2. Wow. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. But you got to be careful. Don't put too much glue on, because you'll create a ripple effect, and it'll take a long time for the glue to dry and shrink. So I learned that one the hard way. Um, Now I'm going to take a piece, just put it on the middle. I'm using a 2x4, and I don't have the roller. I couldn't buy it locally. It's a bit of a piss off where I am, and I should have ordered a nice JTAG roller. And now we're sanding. This is really like, what's the word, unsung, and everybody thinks it's easy. It's not. It's the hardest thing to do to sand properly. Make sure you have sharp discs. They start getting clogged up, especially with oily wood. Like here, we'll do an 80, and we'll finish it off with the 120. I won't go beyond 120. It won't make a difference in the finishing. It's silly to think like you do 220 and you're going to get a better finish. No, it couldn't be further from the truth. What happens is when you go 220, or don't even think about 320 on wood, bare wood, is you bring up the oils in the wood, and what happens is you create an oily barricade on the wood, and your clear coat won't grab, and it's that simple. So don't waste time. 80 and 120, that's it. Campbell recommend 150, but I'm sticking with 80 and 120. Now we're putting a little bit of oil on here, and what it's doing is two things. What I'm trying to do is fill in the pores. I didn't want to get involved in grain filler with this project. It'd be a lot more extra time, but I found it once before, clear grain filler, which I think worked really well, but this is fine for this. So I'm using a tung oil. It's going to fill the grain, act as a little bit of a sealer, but what I really like about it, it's going to help with the color. It's going to help it explode. We're not using any stain whatsoever on any of this. We're just going to let nature take over on this. Now you can see some of the wood takes the oil a little more than the others. You got to be a little patient on this. Don't put too much that you get the thing so drenched. You want the wood to suck it back. You don't want to have like an oily buildup on the outside. You just kind of put enough. You can kind of feel it when it takes the right amount of stain, or oil in this case. Same thing with stain. And you can see here, this panel's all finished. You can see it's really starting to come to light now. It's really exploding. Now the spraying. We're using 2K urethane, and you could see a demonstration on one of our other videos. We showed how to use the 2K, and we explained why we love it. We're doing it in this case. Really, you can get away with water, but you shouldn't have to maybe go over the top on this. But I'm okay with this. I really love the effect that the 2K does with the wood. Now here's the molding that we have for the top, and later I might do a video on this. This is a small molder. This is just a shop box. We had a custom knives made at this fantastic place. I'll put a link in there after. I ended up using 8-4. What does that mean? It means just the rough wood that I pick up, which is a little over 2.5 inches. By the time I plane, I end up about 2 inches thick. I got the edge, so I wanted something meatier on top of the panel, not to look, to look lost. So, with like I said, with our knives, it looks great. Now it's dry fitting time, and I put little blocks at the bottom to keep it up. I went about, what was it, 4 1/4, and I got 4.5 inch molding. I only left about 1/4 inch. You'll see more. And then I looked and I said, oh man, now I got a plug. I wasn't happy near the edge, so then I ended up moving a plug. I don't know. I think it's better maybe if you did it again. You're putting drywall there. It'd probably be better. Just line up the plugs beforehand. Don't don't end up doing what I did. And I realized putting the other two at the end, they were going to be daisy chained anyways. It just looked too much at that panel, and I don't think they'll be plugging that much in. And we also did it because we were going to put perimeter lighting in those plugs. And here I go. Man, God, do I ever shut up? All right. Now, here we go. On the other part, like there's a little bit of a V. So I'm just tracing. I'm not a fan of doing the jigsaw and trying to jig. I'll just give a straight line, and I've really never ever had a problem. So I got this little DeWalt saw. I love it. This thing, I'm blown away how precise it is and how well it cuts. I can't say enough about this saw. And you can see, it cut through the mahogany like butter. And now I'm ready to glue. And I've cut out the plug, so it's no big deal. And of course I dry fitted it. And I'm not cheap with the glue. I'm using PL Premium, and I bought the extra big tube. That's another story later. That big tube's a pain in the ass. It leaked all over the sides. But it's so much cheaper. It's $14 a tube versus $10, and you get 4 times as much. Now I'm going to lift in, and it's pretty easy to handle by myself. Now, I got my piece cut at the other end, and I'm going to just give it a little push, make sure PL's all around. Now I'm pre-drilling, and it's not how many screws you put in, it's where you put it. So I'm on an angle here, and I'm just eyeballing. I've got some install screws, and now I'm going to countersink it a bit so that those screws will be buried underneath. And when my molding, remember the last part, the molding I have will go on top. And there I go. I'm just cranking away there. And you can see 1, 2, I probably put about 6 screws up on top. So that'll be enough. And now I'm ready on the other side. You can see I got my little spacers. I don't go the whole length because you'll see after that wall is all of the walls are crooked compared to that panel. So I want to leave a little flex with the molding after, and that's why I did it like that. And you can see here it's another molding, like cutting out for the plugs, and you really got to be careful with it and make sure that you get it right. I'd rather just nibble at it than trying first and double check, because the last thing if I screwed up, I couldn't hide this. I would I'd have to take that panel off and go make another one and bring it back, and I'm going to lose a lot of time. And as you can see right here at the bottom, I put little blocks to keep the panel tight at the bottom so that when the glue kicks in. And I've done the L bracket there, like I made the turn. The corner is really crooked because they use support for the wall. And there you can see I did the same as the other one. I put the screws up on top, and I put the little piece there, and I had to tie into the bar. So the bar got screwed in after. And that's really about it. Just take your time on this, because there's it's not like painting where I could put some caulking or I could put things like that. All my gaps, even if I have a little gap and have a 16th, what I try to do is just make sure it's a 16th, or I make sure it's an 8th, and I can make that gap look natural. Now here there's a little bit of a gap, and all right now I have a gap on my panel to where the column meets, and if you can see it right there, it just ever so slightly V's right along there. Now it was a bit tricky to do, so what I did is I just got enough for a C-clamp, glued a 2x6 and a piece of Baltic birch, and let's see if this is going to work. I let go of the cabinets and the screw also. Look at that. Here we go. All right, that's all there was to it. And if you can see in here, a little fumbly there with the thumbs. I let go of those screws. Now I'll screw them back in. That should keep it from popping. I can sneak a screw there on an angle. I haven't decided yet. And you can see why when I come back here. Now I got that nice reveal. Like, that's the only thing with wood to wood or things like this. You can't get away with too much. So that's all there was to fixing it. It's like what we did over here. We had to kind of do the same thing. We had to pull that out. The wall's a little crooked. Now we got a seam. I put no more nails in there. That'll dry clear. That'll go dark, that little line. And then I'll just touch it up ever so slightly. And you can see here, on this one, we got that butted perfect. And that one was a little easier because I made that panel a little small. So I was able to come in here and add about a 1/2 inch, and I was able to just put a plywood and a wedge, jam that over there, put a clip down at the bottom, and then I was able to get that nice and tight down there. Alright, so those are things you really got to watch out for when you're doing natural wood. You want to have like really straight lines, but you are in an imperfect place, or you're dealing with lots of woods, and sometimes things might have a little curve you didn't even realize, or you might not have cut it straight, but there's always ways to save it. Here's the baseboard being installed. Pretty straightforward. I'll just glue, push in, sneak a couple of brads, screw in a block, put a wedge in those blocks, and let it dry. And the cap, same thing. Now that the dust has settled, we're loving the look from the panels. And what I want to show was I screwed in a 2x4, put a wedge, and I used a natural bow and pushed it in. Hairline gap on top, but what I'll do is I have this product, no more nails, but when it dries crystal clear, and it'll be the same color as the wood. It works out really well. The baseboard I went full thickness because I wanted that heft on top there. So it's pretty straight, like it's it's mahogany, like it's African, and it's pretty stable, the wood, but the wall is not straight, and so I need a little variation or whatever. You would see this like a mile away. It would look horrible, and you can't go shoving caulking in there. So here I put 2 more blocks, and you can see they're in there pretty good. I'll probably leave mint today, only because I'm working on the windows, and I don't really care. I'll give it an extra day, then I'll take them off. And when I glued it, if you saw in the videos, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks plus the corner down there. And you might ask, well, why didn't you go the whole length? The wall's not straight, and this isn't straight. So you'd more than likely, if you did it, you'd have a bulge. So by going little spacers, I could kind of control it and keep it flush with the panel. I want to keep it like about a 30-second inside. I don't want to go over, then I would have a ridge up on top. I could have made a little notch and slid this in, but I chose not to on this case. But you could go a little higher. I wanted the full depth, and then that's the way I went there. The only thing I could control was this corner. This was made in the shop right here, and that I was able to get a pure 90. So this baseboard went in very easy. What I am happy about, or I'm not happy about, and that's on us, there's a line there and that's because we were short on the wallpaper, which is really, we made a couple of adjustments, and it's like a half inch, but there's also a big dip in the wall over here, like it kind of goes in, and here's a piece of the molding, and you can see, like, I used 8-4, which, I mean, that's 2 inches by almost 2 inches, and there's no flux in this. You can't bend it. I'm not happy with the wall. There's a couple little dips, one over there, and then that's a wormhole. Well, that was a wormhole in the wood right there. And you can see another little gap there. This angle is, or that corner is really whacked out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little cove over there. I wasn't happy about doing it. I was striving not to, and I have no choice. It's about the only real mistake. Everything else, the sizing of the panels worked. Like I said, and when I did this, I did it a good, like a half inch to slide in and out from the bench when I installed it. So that worked out well. Like the lines and everything else are super, Like I'll touch up that corner a bit. And the panels themselves are done with 2K urethane, but the molding, top and bottom, are water-based. So I can easily run there with a foam brush and touch everything up, any pinholes, because it's nearly impossible. And you can see there where it meets. That part I'm very happy with. Just the top. When you do this, that can be very frustrating because you have a plan and then you're like, I failed. I didn't get that perfect. But these sometimes the rooms are just out of your control, and there's only so much you can do. And I could have maybe, I don't know what, I could have made this. I could have carved out the back of this, grooved the whole carve, like take 1.5 inches out, and then I would have more flux. No, I wouldn't do that. I do love the look because I was creating like an Art Deco look, and I kind of went off the rails there by using something like that. But I'm very happy with it. You see here, I was trying to line up there. I went a touch above, which is, I'm okay with that look. The pictures have no filter on them. I just took them raw. You can see the beauty of the wood. Also, please subscribe, support us, and we'll continue doing more videos. Thank you for watching.